Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going on an incredible journey together to discover how biology, chemistry, and physics aren't just separate subjects, but interconnected gears in a single massive engine that literally runs our universe. Okay, let's dive into this.
The phenomenon of life. 2. Matter and chemical systems. 3. Energy, force, and motion. 4. Earth and human impact. And 5. The grand energy loop.
And this brilliantly illustrates how life, matter, and energy stand as three distinct, powerful pillars. But, they aren't just floating around in a vacuum. They rest firmly on the solid foundation of Earth, with our own human systems weaving right through them. It's all one beautifully connected blueprint. Section 1. The phenomenon of life. Biological engines. Think of your own body for a second. It's essentially a highly complex mechanical system. And just like any machine, you require very specific fuel. We intake carbs for energy, proteins for growth, fats for stored energy, and vitamins and minerals for protection. So we intake this fuel, process it, and through the incredible equation of respiration, we combine the glucose from our food with oxygen. The exhaust from this? Carbon dioxide and water. The ultimate output? Pure, usable energy to drive your own muscles and skeletal framework. But where does that glucose actually come from in the first place? Well, it all stems from photosynthesis. This is the botanical food-making engine where carbon dioxide and water transform into glucose and oxygen. Actually, think of it less like a simple reaction and more like a fully solar-powered manufacturing process. When we visualize this process, plants operate exactly like a factory. Down in the sourcing department at the bottom, roots anchor into the soil to absorb water and essential minerals. These raw materials are then shipped straight up the transport highway of the trunk right into the leaves, which basically act as a high-tech chlorophyll lab. That's where solar energy drives the chemical reaction to produce the exact resources the plant and eventually we need to survive. Of course, this web of survival extends way down to a microscopic level. On one side, we have useful microbes acting like tiny, incredibly helpful factory workers, improving soil fertility, creating life-saving antibiotics, and thankfully, helping us make things like bread and cheese. On the flip side, we have harmful microbes that cause disease and spoil our food. It's a strict, completely natural balance that sustains the biological machinery of our entire world. Which leads us to a really important question. Yes, we have these amazing living engines, and they obviously need a world to operate in. So how does all this biological machinery actually interact with the non-living, physical stuff of the universe?
Section 2. Matter and chemical systems. Decoding the physical stuff.
Before we can build, we have to organize. Humans have developed a surprisingly clear, rhythmic sequence to separate and manage the physical matter around us. Step 1. Handpicking, where we remove materials by size, like pulling small stones from rice. Step 2. Sieving, filtering by particle scale, like separating bran from flour. Step 3. Winnowing, which is separating by weight using the wind. Think of blowing husk from grains. Step 4. Filtration, to extract insoluble solids, kind of like straining tea leaves. And Step 5. Evaporation, to recover dissolved solids, like extracting salt from seawater. It's a remarkably logical progression to get the pure, raw materials we need.
Once we have our materials, they inevitably transform. We all know the basics, right? Melting an ice cube is a simple, reversible physical change. So the crucial point is that chemical changes, like burning a piece of paper or rusting iron, are completely irreversible and forge entirely new substances. This perfectly grounds the abstract rules of chemistry right into our daily reality. When we take these materials and scale them up to a massive industrial level, their physical properties dictate their purpose. We've got metals, which are lustrous, malleable, and absolutely fantastic conductors of heat and electricity. Contrast those with nonmetals like coal or sulfur, which are dull, brittle, and pretty poor conductors. These basic fundamental properties tell us exactly how to utilize these materials to build out our human infrastructure. Okay, so we know what the structural materials are, and we know how they change chemically. But what invisible rules govern how this matter actually moves? What brings all these static materials to life? Section 3. Energy, Force, and Motion. Mapping the invisible rules. First up, we have to understand friction. It's defined as the invisible force opposing physical motion, capable of producing heat, wear, and tear. It's the ultimate drag. Before we can engineer literally anything to move efficiently, we absolutely must account for the force that is constantly trying to slow us down.
When we apply a force, like a heavy push or a pull, to move an object, friction is that arrow dragging right back in the exact opposite direction. By monitoring things like speed and pressure and understanding how to overcome that friction, we can design simple machines. These tools, like levers or wheels, act as force multipliers, allowing us to do mechanical work that would otherwise be completely impossible for us.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it visualizes the flow of invisible energy perfectly. In a basic power grid or an electrical circuit, the current flows from the cell right through the switch to light the bulb. Notice how this connects directly back to the materials from our second pillar. The copper wire is our metal conductor, letting the electricity zip right past, while the plastic coating is a non-metal insulator blocking the flow to keep it safely contained. We can even use this electrical current to predictably coat one metal over another in a fascinating process called electroplating.
Section 4. Earth and Human Impact. Interacting with Planetary Rhythms.
You see, our planet operates on these massive master rhythms: the water cycle, evaporation, condensation, precipitation, and collection, acts right alongside atmospheric pressure to provide the exact, highly delicate conditions needed to sustain both your human engine and those botanical factories we explored earlier. And forests serve as the absolutely crucial anchors for this whole cycle, pumping out oxygen and locking down the soil to prevent erosion.
But humans don't just passively observe these rhythms from the sidelines. We actively intervene to fuel ourselves through agricultural engineering. It's a very calculated sequence. 1. Preparation of the soil. 2. Sowing the seeds. 3. Adding nutrients. 4. Irrigation. 5. Harvesting. And finally, 6. Storage. We are literally harnessing planetary rhythms for our own survival.
Section 5. The Grand Energy Loop, the ultimate thesis.
Let's move to Trinidad and see how this builds into one continuous, perfect circle. Trace the arrows with me here. It all starts with solar energy radiating light and heat to Earth. Plants capture that power through photosynthesis to build biological mass. Then, over millions of years, some of that mass compresses down into fossil fuels. Humans extract and combust those fuels to power our electricity and industry, which, yes, causes environmental impact and pollution, but that leads us straight to conservation. Planting trees and protecting habitats to capture solar energy all over again, completely restarting the loop. It proves that absolutely everything is connected.
As we step back to look at the master blueprint we've uncovered today, we can neatly synthesize the 8 master keys from our sources into our specific domains. Under life, we have habitat, adaptation, respiration, and photosynthesis. Under matter and energy, we manage friction and harness awesome processes like electroplating. And for the Earth, we navigate the constant balance between pollution and conservation. Honestly, it's incredibly satisfying to see just how logically the universe organizes itself.
Which leaves us with one final, undeniable truth. Energy is never lost, only transformed. So, looking at this vast, interconnected system of biology, chemistry, and physics, how will you use your energy to understand and protect this grand machine? Thank you so much for exploring the blueprint with me today. Keep asking questions and keep learning.